All right. Let's check and make sure everything is working. Apple calls are up, which is fantastic. It's an excellent start to the morning. All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Let me get some sign that I'm not speaking to a wall. Excellent, thank you. Just getting a couple more things set up. Sorry for the wait. No, it's not the mic that's slow. It's just me that talks slow. Sorry if I'm a little bit too quiet. Tell me if this is better. I've been getting a lot of complaints from people that watch on TVs. Apparently, the volume for televisions is a little bit more muted. So I've been playing with the sound settings. Hopefully that fixes it. Okay, very good. All right. So we've got all kinds of interesting things to talk about lately. I say before breaking into silence. So this was a fantastic article that I just that I pulled up. Somebody brought to my attention just the other day. Apparently, JPMorgan is offering a social analytics platform for hedge funds exclusively for their mid-market cap customers. That's going to give them some opportunity to stay ahead of the meme stock craze and watch everybody on Reddit and Twitter for social sentiment on stocks. That way they can get ahead of it and get out of their trades before we catch up with them. Which that just tickles me. I can't believe that we're having such an impact on the on this economy that after just 1 year of these trades and these squeeze plays constantly battering these hedge funds, that they can't tolerate it enough, and they now had to get analytics tools together from JP Morgan just to watch us and just to keep an eye on us so that they can figure out where the sentiment is shifting before it slaughters their customers. I don't know about all of y'all, but that sounds bullish as hell to me. Hey, Lush Rimbaugh, nice name. Thanks for joining the Discord. I'm really looking forward to getting to see a lot of new faces and meeting a lot of new people. So for anybody who has not heard yet, that's just coming into the stream, we are uh, we are opening up Hell's Trading Floor, which is the new community. So as a matter of fact, I need to go ahead and tweet that out because that's some excellent news that I've been waiting to share. Pardon me and my phone alarms. So you can go ahead and Google this. Just just Google this headline: JPMorgan is offering hedge funds a way to dodge meme stocks. It's a fantastic article if you can bypass their paywall on AS. What was this website? AFR. Oh yes, Echo. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, I need to send out a tweet about the live stream. Actually, going to do that right now. You would think that there would be a way to go ahead and do it. Ah, yes, there is a way to do it straight from YouTube. See, I'm learning all kinds of things about streaming and about how to run a community these days. So it's been an interesting adventure, and thank you again, everybody who's jumping in early that have been paying attention to little old me. That's immensely flattering. Why does the stream title say that it's with Jason? I apologize for everybody who's still staring at this. Let me give you something else to look at. Right now, Progenity is getting a little bit of weight behind it. The consolidation phase is still ongoing. It's still building steam. It's going to take some time, but the strength is here. Volume is still low, and I just got some new Ortex numbers. As a matter of fact, the exchange report is out, and it shows a very different story than Ortex's estimates. So I'll come by and show that as soon as I can fix this stream's title. I have no idea why Twitter is making it show up as saying that it's a Power Hour stream with Jason. That doesn't make any sense to me. I have no idea why that's happening. Very weird. Thanks, Clay. Really appreciate that. John Cho, thanks for pointing out that article. I haven't read that yet. Will I have buying alerts on Discord? I haven't set anything like that up, but that's an excellent idea. I do intend to build out quite a lot of stuff onto this Discord. One of the main things that we want to do is we want to open up a group of analysts that the community will be able to vote on for them to go research certain stock tickers. The analyst team will be entirely made up of volunteers selected by the community and voted into their position based on their performance and based on how solid their research is. Because that's how I got into this. Um, I actually came from Matt Core's Discord. and I absolutely love his community. Still part of the Moon Gang to this day, and I definitely appreciate his willingness to talk to me so frequently, and how open and communicative he is with his community. Um, and it was because I just got so interested in this all of a sudden and started doing research on my own that him and his mods recognized a lot of my research and gave a lot of weight to it, and they even had jumped into SPRT and Progenity based on my analyses. So I was extremely grateful for that opportunity, and it ended up leading to this whole thing. So along with several other YouTubers that supported me creating my own channel, which I still am not sure about. We're trying this out though, so we'll go ahead and give it a rip. Um, but between Jason Paulin and Randall Cornett and Matt Kors, it's been a lot of fun, and I've really appreciated their support going after this and creating my own community, and that's and especially the mod team who took an active role in that. So get her done. I am still not able to get this link to work for some reason, and I don't know why. It still wants to say that it still wants to say on the Twitter card that it's for Jason Pollin's stream, and it's not. So that's a bit frustrating. Well, that's weird. I don't know if anybody else wants to provide a link to this stream out on throw it out onto Twitter. I'd really appreciate it. I don't know why it says that it's Jason Pollin's stream. That doesn't make any sense. I'll just have to take away the card. All right, it's out there. If you're a part of the community, you should notice that there is a Twitter watch. So the watchdog the watchdog section will have links to my tweets and along with Adam Aaron, Matt Kors, Unusual Whales. I have access to Unusual Whales, but I will echo out any of his tweets because that guy's analytics are just so spot on. I bought these Apple calls based on based on alert that I got, and oh my god, are they printing? Like, this is a fantastic play. I wish I had got in here a little bit earlier. The call out was for $185 strike about a week ago, and if you had bought those back on Friday, then right now you would be up about um, if you put down like $500 right now, you'd probably be up about 80%. So it's a fantastic play. If you're not on Unusual Whales and you want to make money, then you're doing it wrong. You need to get on Unusual Whales. That's a fantastic platform. I've never seen a better option screener. And if anybody here is on the Discord, I am watching the live stream questions section. That's what I'll be paying closest attention to on top of the YouTube chat. And if you're not in the community, please consider coming to join us. The Patreon link is I'll go ahead and add it to the description of this. It'll be patreon.com/thedevilsbroker. That reminds me, I need to add some moderators here. Wall Street Viking, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much. This is so cool. I can't even begin to say how flattered I am that you guys are that you'd even jump onto this just to pay attention to what I have to say. So let's get into some analytics. Enough about my Apple calls. This is a small side play. Let's go look at Progenity, because that's right now the main play. And oh, sorry, my cat's currently trapped in my office right now, so hopefully he won't be too obnoxious. But he's terrified of our garbage trucks, so I have to keep him locked in here so he doesn't go and try to hide inside of our couch. Let's go ahead and get Ortex up here. Okay. Oh, I apologize, Chad. I'm not following my thing's not scrolling with it. Hold on. Haven't seen a Wyckoff chart in a while. Right now, Wyckoff is it. I'm kind of torn whether we're experiencing a spring or if we're still in a phase C. It's really hard to tell with these. Thanks for streaming. Thanks for joining. Holy cow, this thing is blowing up way faster than I was prepared for. John Holloway, nice to see you in here, dude. I've been looking forward to seeing your DD. I'm not getting any of your tweet updates, though. I'm going to have to double check on that stuff. Thank you, Kat, for pointing that out. I did add the link to the description of the stream, so people, if you haven't checked it out yet, the description should be in the video description. But that'll take you to the Patreon link, where if you want to join the community, our main trading, we made this as cheap as possible. I would it's $3 a month if you want to join the community, and you get access to literally everything. And then if you want to support more, I'm planning on passing most of this money off to the community, because I honestly I'm not really interested in pulling in extra cash through this. But if people have asked me, so if you want to support with more, there's a $10 a month option. And then just to say an extra thank you, I'm going to be hosting special live streams where you can come and join me with voice onto some of my live streams and then ask questions or talk just about anything with me. And of course, the whole community will be extraordinarily thankful. So let's see. Ortex. Let's go look at the short data. Their UI changed dramatically. I kind of like it, but I got to figure it out and get a little bit more familiar with how I'm going to navigate it. So bear with me while I adjust. Okay. So yeah, the exchange reported short interest versus the estimated short interest. Do we notice some excessively bizarre differences here? So the exchange reported short interest stayed elevated, whereas the estimated short interest had dropped off so massively. We're still actually at an estimated at the time of this being released, this exchange report, which it was only released today, but the report would have been from back on. It would have been the report for the close of November. We had 18 million shorts, and that's a huge difference from what Ortex was estimating. I did reach out to Ortex. As a matter of fact, they reached out to me because I had repeatedly made mention that I would love to see some additions, and they've been super busy. I assume with these changes because it's a lot. But in any case, they reached out to me and asked me for my opinion on what needed to be added. So as I haven't gotten confirmation of this, but I have a feeling that Ortex will hear my argument that we need to see short exempts added to this because the short exempts, if you don't know me and my original DD that kind of blew up, it was my short squeeze signal theory based on short exempts. And short exempts are a market maker tool for shorting without taking a borrow in certain panicked market conditions. If those get abused, then they can result in a massive amount of FTDs, and we can base our assumptions on how many FTDs may be open in the future based on how heavy the short exempt volume is. Let me catch up here with chat a little bit. Check out the BBIG gamma ramp. I will definitely do that. Thanks, Wall Street. Scold. Respect the Viking. And also my mods, if you could go ahead and drop a just any message in the chat, I'll see your name. I'm looking for you so that I can add you as mods. I need to see your name in the chat so that I can do that. Oliver S. Do use shorts really to cover? I'm assuming that's a typo, but I'm assuming that you're trying to ask, did the shorts really cover? It would appear not, based on the exchange reported volume or exchange reported short interest. Sorry. And now that the short interest, the estimated short interest, is updated to over 23 million today, I'm gonna say no, they didn't. It's actually pretty surprising, but I think Ortex was way wrong. And this isn't anything against Ortex. They are dependent on. I see a lot of people giving Ortex a ton of flack for their data being off, and I gotta say, like, that's really disingenuous. It's not fair to them because Ortex only reports the data they're given, and they're given data from 80% of the market brokers internationally. So they only can tell us what they get. And the thing is that we know that these brokers are playing games with market makers in order to facilitate these huge short positions. And we don't know if any or all of them are even giving out accurate numbers. So these kinds of short plays, when they get this kind of attention, there's a huge incentive for fraud to take place. And I can't say who is playing games or if they're playing games, but I'm just saying there's a huge incentive to do that. So, like, I don't blame Ortex at all. I think their platform is fantastic. I think they have excellent analytics. It is a great platform. I would gladly take a sponsorship from Ortex and shout their name from the mountains every single day if they asked me to. Um, since getting access to this platform, I have made so many excellent trades just based off of this. The data has been so invaluable. So I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate the effort they put into making this such an effective analytics platform. Did they get off the threshold list? Yes, Progenity is off the threshold list. Vortex's new updates have a threshold list bar. This actually shows the date range from when it started on the threshold list to when it got off. And you'll notice that it ends right on the exchange report date. These guys were definitely trying to get these things under control. It would appear that they did, just based off of these numbers, and they had to have stayed off the threshold list for 5 days in order for it to come off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So by November 23rd, which was the Friday after, or no, I'm sorry, the Tuesday, that was literally the options T2 expiration after options expiry on Friday. So remember, we had that gamma ramp that sent us all the way to $6.20 on Wednesday, November the 27th or the 17th. Jeez, man, I can't speak today. Can I English a little better? So we peaked on November 17th during that gamma squeeze that we saw on Progenity, and boy, that was a great day. Um, and then by Friday we had retraced and then rebounded again to a high of $5.15 before we closed at 489. So that close on Friday saw, I want to say, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 180,000 call options expiring, but a lot of them had been exercised early. So a ton of these deliveries had to happen before Tuesday, but a lot of them had to happen by Friday. So shorts got absolutely killed. If we get another gamma ramp like that on Progenity or any gamma ramp, like that just proves how effective it was, because I was watching the open interest as it was falling on Progenity. Maybe I should pull up Weeble so that I can illustrate this a little bit better, and we'll take a look at BBIG at the same time, because that'll be a good good one to talk about. I need to look at that anyway, since you know since the Viking called it out. Okay, so this is BBIG. I did buy some calls. Full disclosure, I've got some $4 calls for January. I bought those a little while ago, like right around when we were teetering on this support line for $3. Um, I'm not sweating them too much. This is the lower bound. We've been oversold for a long time, so I want to say that I bought right around here when the RSI was this was in this range. So yeah, RSI super oversold. We're way overdue for a rebound. Um, I don't like what the moving average is doing, but we'll see. Anyway, so let's take a look at these options. All right. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Interesting. All right. So we have a huge gamma ramp here that's lined up from $4 to $5 and to 6. 5 is the peak. What I need to look at is the float. If somebody wouldn't mind, I'd really appreciate somebody dropping in live stream questions what the float is on BBIG, because I don't have it off the top of my head, and Webull doesn't seem to have an easy way for me to pull up those financials. Oh, sorry, Mr. Boulay, I did not see your message. Let's see, what was it? ABCT. No, not AB. ABCT. Weeble. Excuse you. Thank you. Oh wow, yeah, this moved too. Oh, well, that's nice. This is a big volume candle, 2 days in a row. Ooh. This is starting to look like Progenity back in September. That's an interesting that's an interesting chart candle. What the heck happened here? All right. Well, anyway, um, that's a huge move, but I'm not going to chase it. It's up too much. The OBV, wow, that OBV is nuts. It's likely that it will continue to bounce around and continue moving, but I don't know when this thing is going to stop. So I'm going to stay out of this. But congratulations. It's like seriously, congratulations to everybody. I don't have the free capital to chase another squeeze, and this one I'd be too late in. I wish I could have caught it uh, earlier this week, but oh well. Just can't play everyone. Thank you, Kat, for that for those numbers. So I'm getting a few different ones between 117.4 and 123 million float on BBIG. Let's see. So if that's our float, I'm going to pull up a calculator and go ahead and start adding up some of these numbers. Oh, bear with me while I do this. I need to actually set up a option screener that'll look for high OI and add it up for me, because it gets a little bit annoying typing in all these open interest numbers every single time that I want to do this. Okay, so currently our open interest on calls is between just on the out of the money, just on out the money calls from $3 to $6 is 110,291 calls, which multiplied by 100, we get 11 million. So we'll go ahead and take the larger number that I got. So that'll be 123 million. Oh, actually, so you take the number of shares in calls and divide that by the float. So I'll take the larger number of 123 million. So that's 11 million divided by 123 million. You get about estimate 8.9. We'll just say 9% of the float is currently on the options chain, just from $3 to $6. That's a sizable amount for the size of float that BBIG has. It is in the realm of gamma squeeze territory, because there's that's a significant number of calls that have to be bought, but it's not necessarily enough to cause a supply issue. There'll still be plenty of shares trading, so there won't be a emergent need for shares. So in the event of a margin call, somebody will absolutely be able to acquire enough shares, and it's likely that the price won't move as dramatically as with something like SPRT. If you take SPRT's example, SPRT had a float of like less than 10 million, and they had over 12 million 12 million shares in calls that were in the money on the options chain. So that was quite literally, there were more calls in the money than there were shares to trade in the market. So that created a supply issue, which is why SPRT went from like $10 up to 59, which was ridiculous. Let's go ahead and take another look at ABCT. Let's look at this on the 10-minute chart, see what we got. Okay, it's bowing over. Let's take a look at the MACD, give ourselves a little bit of insight as to what this thing might be doing here. Okay, so getting close to crossing the signal line, the OBV is flattening out. This is when I would consider locking in some profits. The RSI is coming down from oversold, so this is probably the time to start considering taking out some profits. It may retrace. It might keep going, but just based off of technicals, it's starting to relax a little bit. You might want to wait and see if it consolidates, and if you want to play it again, you could try to just hang out and wait, see if it drops in price, and you can get a better fill. I'm not doing any of this, and none of this is financial advice, but just based off of the technicals that I see here, MACD starting to kind of bow over, OBV is flat or starting to flatten out, and the RSI it's been in oversold territory for a while, so it might start to come down. We'll see what happens. Look for about look to see what happens if it approaches the VWAP. If it crosses below the VWAP, then expect some selling. What are my thoughts on AMC? Devil's advocate. I really appreciate your name. Are you a lawyer? Because I need a lawyer. Do I have thoughts on SENS? Let me check out AMC first, and then we'll check out SENS. So AMC fell pretty sharply. Let's go look at this. Ugh, Weeble's freaking out. What are you doing, Weeble? Okay. So we're starting to see a lot of volume coming in to the sell side, and that's not good. Relative to the daily, though, this is still low volume, so let's look. Let's think. We hit a low of 25, didn't we? Yeah, 25.31. Let's see what happens if we establish a new higher low. Then this may just be another bounce. But looking on the 30-minute, I'm guessing that we're going to probably see a little bit of, we're going to see some consolidation around here, somewhere in the 25, 26 range. Well, 25, 27 range, I should say. But we're on the high side of 26, which is good. Let's go ahead and set ourselves up some supports so that we can keep an eye out on this. We're going to have to go out onto the daily for supports. So we broke through this support recently. The next support that we have so I would be setting a support here at the base of this candle. and then a second one at the wick. And then we'll see where that places us. Okay, so we're at that support right now. We're just hovering over 26. So 26 is that support, and then 24 is the lower band of support. If we broke through 24, that would be really bad. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But the RSI is oversold, and it's starting to form a bit of a. It looks like it might be starting to form a U. We'll see if we consolidate here, maybe for the next 2 hours or so, and then maybe we'll get a bounce. The lower AMC goes, the closer we are to something big, in my opinion. Yeah, I can agree with that. I did see a very interesting post made by there was I can't remember if he was a hedge fund manager, if he was just an accountant, but there's a person in the fintech industry that made a post on LinkedIn, and he pointed out everything everything that had happened, that had transpired between GameStop and AMC, and made mention of the fact that even after Citadel stated that they had completely closed their short positions, that the reports showed that they absolutely did not. And Bloomberg demonstrated that they had maintained a massive short position, but not only that, it had grown extraordinarily larger. So, you know, what business does a hedge fund have to do if they're short a stock and they say they're not short a stock and then they grow that short position? Well, that according to this person's opinion, they were trapped. So, and I happen to agree with that. And the reason why I think so is because of the OBV. This is a hilarious OBV, by the way. We are so absolutely close to something huge right now. This is, in my mind, a Hail Mary. That's what I think is happening. I think this is a very desperate bid to push the stock as low as possible in order to get as many people out as quickly as they can. I really do think that. What's fascinating to me is that this phenomenon happened. Um, that this phenomenon happened in on social media. That everybody on the internet just got together and agreed that they were going to refuse to sell and refuse to exit their positions no matter what happened. I honestly can't believe that. I honestly cannot believe that we had that kind of a following. That retail was so willing. Oh, did the stream cut? Can you guys see everything going on? Okay. All right then. Um, what was I saying? Yeah, right. Retail. I never expected for social media to create such a huge deal out of the stock market. Um, I so a little bit about me. I used to serve in the U.S. military, and I joined right in the middle of the 2008 crisis. Part of my reasons for doing so was that my parents were about to lose their house. They were in absolute crisis mode. My dad uh, lost his business, and he had to go and work for he had to work for another company, which is something that he never wanted to do. He never wanted to go and work for somebody else, but it was just what was best for him given the circumstances, and he couldn't make his payroll for the guys that were working for him. So they were in a really desperate situation, and I joined the army just as President Obama was coming into his administration. Um, Partly to give them some relief, and then also partly to I don't know, I guess try to find what I was going to do with my life. But I never thought that after I had seen what had happened in 2009, 2010, after I completed my basic training and came back home and saw the chaos that was happening in the world with the Occupy movement and how quickly that got shut down and how easily they made them all into the bad guys, I did not think that I did not think that anything was ever going to happen. I didn't think there would be any repercussions for any actions taken against the American public or the world for that matter. Because the 2008 crisis, as bad as it was, America was among the most gently hit and touched by that. Europe got destroyed. A lot of European countries got terribly destroyed by that economic crisis that situation caused. Um, if you haven't watched the movie, I know everybody talks about it, but The Big Short, it's a good movie. Um, it perfectly explains a lot of what took place during the subprime crisis. And it'll make you angry. And if it doesn't make you angry, then you didn't understand it. And you should, you should look at it again. There's another movie called Margin Call that is, it's a thriller, but and they don't tell you about what's going on, but there's key scenes in the movie where they discuss things like over leveraged MBS, and what they're talking about is mortgage backed securities. And mortgage backed securities were the that was the device that that was being sold to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the government as a part of the loaning and mortgage system. For those that don't understand any of what I'm saying, basically there were a lot of little banks that were making a huge killing by selling mortgages to people who had no business and no credit that would allow them to make their payments. Were giving these people, they were giving people loans that they could never pay back, that they could never qualify for, and it's just irresponsible. Banks don't just refuse to give people loans because they're mean or because they're cold. It's because if people put themselves into that situation where they are going to be paying more in interest than they can ever possibly pay back, then that person will be financially ruined. And there's a fiduciary duty at banks for people to protect their customers, even those seeking a loan. And that's why people get denied loans. When that stops happening, that's what caused the subprime crisis. It was banks that were unscrupulous, that were willing to give loans to people who could not pay them back. And because the default rates on those loans went so high, there were we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people every month were defaulting on their mortgages and losing their homes and being evicted. And it wasn't, and this was happening from 2005 until 2008. And that's why Michael Burry spotted it. This whole, like, all the default rates were rising rapidly. So he saw that happening, and that's why Michael Burry shorted the housing market. But, like, it took 3 years until the weight of it became so heavy, and the banks, the big banks that were buying up all the loans and repackaging them into these larger blocks of loans that they call tranches. It's a French word for groups of things, but it's a group of loans. They sold the tranches of mortgage-backed securities to the government so that they would be, because they're mortgage backs, they're backed up by the government, they're insured by the government, so that people are guaranteed the loans. And the government would pay out these huge banks. But now the default rates were getting so high that the banks weren't getting their money back. They weren't getting any money out of it. They were losing, they were hemorrhaging cash. And it eventually led to the massive collapse that we saw in 2008. And it could have been stopped, it could have been halted if an investigation had been done right away. But nobody looked. Nobody looked except people who were looking to make money off of it. And Michael Burry was the first, or one of the first, that saw the crisis coming. And that's why The Big Short is such a powerful movie, because all these events that took place over 3 years, you can see how, um, although it is dramatic, does really show the frustration that people. I can't imagine keeping myself contained for 3 years, knowing what was going on, and knowing that the mortgage business and that the banks were going to collapse under the weight of their own fraud. Just, it's frustrating. So anyway, I served in the U.S. Army during that entire debacle. That was my first year in the Army, was right during the middle of the collapse, and for that reason, it didn't touch me as much because I was taken care of by the government. But everybody else around had a real hard time of it. AMC getting dumped on, crisis mode for Citadel. Yeah, I do think so. Um, so that's when I say thanks, Kenny, for the discount. I'll go ahead and take full advantage of this. Thank you so much. Let me see if I have any spare capital. Oh, I need to step away from the stream just very briefly. I'll let you guys go ahead and keep an eye on the charts. I apologize, but I still am working on the side, so I have to stop just for a little bit. So um, I'll be back as soon as I can. Hey guys, still need a few more seconds. I'm just grabbing myself a coffee, but I wanted to come back and check on something. I need to look at something immediately. Excuse me? Is that a K as in 1,000? What? Oh, wow. I can see why this moved. Okay. Yeah. Um, what am I seeing? I'm seeing 4.39,000% short interest of the free float. The estimated short interest is 1.67 billion. This has to be an error. That has to be an error. I have to message Vortex. I have to message them and find out what the hell is going on. Okay, I'm gonna go get some coffee and I'll be back. The ticker is ABCT, by the way. ABCT. This is not an endorsement. Chat with some of the other group in the trading floor if you're in the Discord. And for those in it, if you wouldn't mind dropping in chat some information about this ticker, I would love to know more about this company. I'm very interested in what the hell they're doing, and I'm very interested into why the hell this is happening. Okay, I'm gonna go get that coffee. Hello, hello, hello. Sorry for the lengthy absence. So, we have something very interesting to look at now. I'm going to provide everybody with like a very obvious, a very obvious discrepancy. 4.38 thousand%, or 43 times, actually closer to 44 times, the free float of ABCT is apparently short. And I cannot understand that. That just does not compute. And where is the exchange reported short interest? Way the hell down here. Of course. What is happening on Webull? What is the price doing? $29. Still there. Interesting. I am going to wait and see what happens. But, oh, I'm going to switch over my windows. Right. To everybody who is an ABCT, congratulations. I don't know what to say other than like you're killing it. This is a amazing play, and really, uh, I'm really hoping to see this thing go absolutely nuts. That's a fantastic pick. Um, Gamma's okay, but I think that the short interest is definitely the most interesting bit. Let's go take a look at Progenity. Everybody's been asking. Okay, so Progenity is bouncing again. This, okay. After seeing this price action, I I do now feel like we're hitting a spring. So let me go ahead and pull up Firefox again. And go ahead and take a look at a Wyckoff pattern. So I'll ask everybody to go ahead and look on their own charts. But Progenity has been in a Progenity's been in a long distribution phase for about, I'd say, a full year, going since its IPO. It fell massively, going all the way back to April of 2021. So I believe that they, excuse me, I believe that Progenity IPO'd at $15, and by the time that they hit about $5, like, faith in the company was really starting to wane. But Ethereum Capital Management continued to buy up all their shares, and it hit its lowest point at about 86 cents. The Wyckoff pattern is not a perfect pattern, but these long consolidations, and honestly, if you were to draw these, it would form a very nice wedge, kind of a falling wedge a little bit. But what I think has just happened is we hit its lowest point when we were at 86 cents back here at the after the selling climax. There's this secondary test. That's what the ST stands for. So this secondary test down here in phase B is possibly what I'm considering is that 86 cents fall down. So if we were to look back at Webull, at Progenity, we'd be able to see all the way back here with this long selling climax right here, and then some rebound, and then a continued fall down to a secondary test at this lower level. If Progenity is following a Wyckoff distribution pattern, then this may be a much longer Wyckoff accumulation, excuse me. If this is following a Wyckoff accumulation and it's much longer than I had anticipated, then we do have some upside ahead of us. But I am not sure if we're still in phase B or if we're on a spring now. I know that I had originally thought that we were in a very short Wyckoff accumulation pattern with this period of time here between the time markers 0 and 5. But it's just that Wyckoffs tend to be longer term patterns. So now I'm kind of doubting my own. I'm doubting my own research from back then. Just because I'm considering all the possibilities that I could have just been wrong. You know, I could have just been wrong about the Wyckoff accumulation during this period. It may have just been a single wave on the accumulation on a much longer time frame. It's really hard to say. You never really know with these things. But if we were to draw this out, and we saw that this period is actually that 620, then there's the potential that we could fall all the way back down. But I don't know. I'm really going to have to rethink how this Wyckoff pattern is playing out. I would need to draw this over a lot of different. I'd need to draw this over a lot of different time frames to be certain. Regardless, though, I'm still in Progenity for long term, so I'm not personally stressing it. It is frustrating though to see. It is frustrating to see all of this action. It's when the price falls this much for so many days, like it just has that psychological impact. And the one thing that I am certain of is that algorithms are playing with this ticker. Like that I am certain of. And that's just because the OBV is doing this, continuously plateauing and remaining stationary, basically. Even though the price action, it's funny how little we have fallen in the OBV. Let's see, 1.88 billion down here at our lowest of low points, when at the high point it was 2.09 billion. And just coming from what was this price? It was about $3. We went from $3 to $6, and we went up. We almost we multiplied our OBV by 1.25, and now we haven't even given up. We haven't even given up half of that on the OBV, and we've fallen completely through all those support lines. I guess I'm kind of talking in circles, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that nobody's really selling shares. It's just the volume is so low, and this price action is so it's fallen so far. This is the point where an accumulation should be taking place. Even the MACD is kind of starting to agree with the histogram. If you look at the histogram on the MACD, you can see the bars are starting to level out, and the MACD is getting ready to start bending around towards the signal line. This is just a consolidation phase. It's probably going to continue like this for at least a while. The December calls are in danger, though. I will say that. Any December calls that are outstanding right now are at risk. There's no promise that those will be in the money. Some feedback on Sofi. I'll take a look at Sofi. I don't know. I don't know much about this company. I see people talking about it a lot. Okay, so there was a golden cross here on the 50-day moving average crossing over on the 200, but the price action did not reflect it, and it fell down. So I would almost say that this looks like it's in a distribution pattern. These large waves with it coming down big time on selling volume, very large selling volume. Yeah, it looks a lot like it's in a distribution pattern, not an accumulation pattern. It is volatile. It's moving by a $5 to $8 range, these swings. It's almost like a sine wave. But the OBV is following the price action, so the volume is real. I would have to say that I would have to say that this one feels a bit dangerous to me. It's not one that I'd be. It's not one that I'd be looking to trade personally. What would it take for volume to return? Um, just people getting excited about the stock again. Um, press releases always help. That's one of the main ones to get some attention onto the stock. The patent that they had released was a big part of it, and I would have liked to see more. I would have liked to see Progenity put a little bit more emphasis on their new patents, but there just doesn't seem to be that much emphasis from their PR team anytime they do have a patent assignment. It just seems a bit bizarre. Let's see. Um, I messaged Ortex on ABCT, but they I'm sure they're really busy. I don't have a I haven't been emailing them. They actually reached out to me on Twitter. Doesn't look like they've responded yet, but I'll keep an eye on that. ARDX. Oh yeah, this one was called out to me not too long ago. OBV is interesting. It is. I remember this one. Yeah, this one was in a it was in a long period of distribution here. Looks very oversold. What a collapse. Jeez. 139 million. Just looking at the volume there. I would be interested to know more about this company. Honestly, I do need more time to be able to analyze these different tickers. Um, but it helps if you have a group of people who are willing to do some research and consolidate it into nice digestible Reddit articles. Um, Posts like that can be exceptionally beneficial just to keep all of the information and the research in one place. I'd like to do that, honestly. I started as a Redditor doing this kind of DD. Um, my big one was Sens, um, which I'll go back to in a little bit. We can take a look at. But I was I was very interested in keeping up that spirit of performing solid due diligence and research and making it so that this community can be a nexus for that kind of research. ARDX looks very interesting. This price action is not too different from Progenity, honestly, the way that it had started lining up. It's a bit early to tell yet, but got this nice wedge forming here. Looks like a very, very sharp wedge. This is probably going to play out a little bit more. I'm betting there will be a little bit more volatility to the upside here, because these wedges don't normally play out this quickly. Just based on the technicals, this is what it looks like. But I'm willing to bet, because this is a cup and handle right here. This is an intraday cup and handle, and if it breaks past 164, 165, then I'd be looking to see this thing retest $2. So this could be a good scalp. Just don't know if I have any spare cash to play that. There are some calls available, but I can only afford one. Just don't have a lot of cash. I might have some on my Webull account. Yeah, my P&L is trash on this account. I have not been paying attention to my Progenity. I did buy a couple shares of news, but yeah, just terrible, just so terrible. I'm gonna close these Progenity calls because I have other calls, and I could make some better plays with this. I should have closed that a long time ago. I actually should have closed that back when we hit 620, when we hit those highs. But I was not paying close attention to my Webull account, and I let that fall to the wayside. So we're starting an account with just $100, and we're going to see what we can do with that. In truth, I didn't lose this money. I transferred almost all of it to a separate account, and there was like maybe $500 left in it when I had like there was like one stock or one option that I wasn't able to sell because of expiration dates being too close. So I just left that behind, and I kept the money from it in this account just to keep it open. So I don't normally trade on Webull, but you know what? What the hell? ARDX looks like it's getting ready to print, so you know, fuck it. $2 looks pretty good to me. The calls are cheap. I can get. Let me see what I can get. $72. So I can get 7 calls. I get 7 calls for $2 for that December strike. And let's see what happens. because this one got called out to me not too long ago, um, and I think that I think that there could be some upside here. We'll just do this for a day trade. We'll have some fun, you know. So let's see what we got. Okay, got my film. Very good. And let's just see what happens. It's consolidating nicely. It's forming a very lovely cup and handle. I like these cup and handles. It looked like it was trying to form a head and shoulders here, but it didn't play out. So then now we have a cup and handle here instead. This is the first shoulder. Here's the head, and then this would have been the next shoulder, but it just kind of consolidated and then bounded up back out. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, we have a golden cross here. The price action followed it, so algorithms bought in. And I'm willing to bet that there's going to be a little bit more accumulation here. The volume has, where is the volume? Where's the volume? There's the volume. Okay, volume's a little bit low, but it's picking back up again. Yeah, this volatility is looking very nice. So let's just see what happens. Thanks, Fitzy. I just saw your message. Sorry, I'm not watching the live stream chat too much. Mainly watching the live stream questions, but thank you very much. I'll try to keep an eye out on tags and stuff when people tag me in the Discord. Let's see. Coming up on 12 o'clock. So, yeah, 12 o'clock Eastern time. I'm on the West Coast, so I have to get up early for this shit. I need to prep my coffee well before I stream. I'm a hacker. I do my best work at night. I do not like getting up in the morning. Okay. Yeah, the OBV being flat like this gets me real excited. Because the thing is that this stock is so low, and it's such a low price that only now has it gotten some attention. The buying hasn't really been there. If retail was paying attention to this, there would have been much more volume. I can promise you that. Now that the volume is picking up, I'm betting you that we start getting some retail attention on ARDX. This one could move. It could move. DOJ investigation into short selling. I think it's a lot of bluster, honestly. They're trying to make a show of it, pretend like they're doing something. I really don't have much faith in the government, honestly. I have to be careful with what I say on YouTube, but I have some very, very strong feelings about how our government has handled this entire situation and the response that has been given. It feels like it's just really an act, and there's no intention whatsoever for the United States government to actually move on these hedge funds that are causing these problems. I also don't think they're going to do anything about high frequency trading. I think they're more like to hang retail investors for their part in these events and try to criminalize what we've done by using social media as a platform to communicate over our investments, which is wrong. That goes against the First Amendment of our Constitution, which those unfamiliar with the United States, our Constitution guarantees certain rights to our citizens. One of them being free speech and freedom of expression. That is the First Amendment of our Constitution, which guarantees that right. That is often mistaken for that is often mistaken for the right to say anything you want. You cannot say anything you want, but you are free to peacefully talk about anything which does not infringe upon the rights of others. And I take that very seriously. Being in the information security industry for my entire career, before I even considered starting to do this, I was a huge advocate for anti-censorship and freedom of speech. I support the Wikimedia Foundation, Mozilla Firefox, all of those organizations that operate in the interest of ensuring freedom of speech and protecting people against censorship. Because honestly, if uh, if you're willing to allow yourself to be silenced and to have information taken away from you, then you have no hope of seeing through the facade that that governments or people in positions of power with malicious and malignant intentions, you'll never be able to see through that. So, um, yeah, and in any case, I don't think that the DOJ investigation is going to bear much fruit. I'd like to be wrong about that, but I don't have much faith on that. See, I see somebody saying ABCT is dropping. Not really. If you're talking about this red candle, I mean, that's not a lot of movement. It's bending around. Um, but now you're about to form a golden cross here. Um, I'm I'm betting you if this golden cross, if it doesn't collapse before this golden cross completes, then there's going to be some algo buying. So watch this. Watch this very closely. If this crosses, that's a good buying. That's a good buying signal. Volume might be coming back here. So yeah, I wish I had some extra money to play some of these things. This one's dangerous though, so I have a pretty hard and fast rule about no chasing. It looks really tempting, but I've gotten burned more often by chasing. And like DWAC, glad I didn't chase that. Perfect example. But it's your money. You do whatever you want. I'm not here for giving financial advice. I'm just here to talk about this and that, the other things that I find interesting, pointing out data that other people can extrapolate some meaning out of. Would I sell Prague if it was brought below $2? No, I bought Progenity below $1.50. I'm very happy with my position. I'm just accumulating shares. At this point, like I might consider selling some puts if I had some spare cash to create some cash secured puts. And if those got exercised, if I got assigned and had to go buy those shares at $2 or $1.50, I'd be fine with that. Progenity is an excellent long term company. Um, I can get into that a little bit later, but I want to try to catch up with some of these comments and we can talk about some of the long term prospects with Progenity. Dare Biosciences traded twice their float a couple days ago, more than 140 million shares. I actually had looked at Dare not long ago. I want to say I looked at Dare back in. Wow. Oh, they moved, didn't they? Yeah, I looked at them even before that. I didn't invest in them at all, but I was interested in the products that they were creating because they were doing if I remember correctly, it was like hormone therapy and better birth control for women. Some other things of that nature. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. This is November 2020. Okay. Okay. I would have looked at them, I want to say like back in April or May. I think these are, I think this is the time period when I first looked at them. I see that there was a nice volume pop here. Um, it kind of looks like accumulation, but there's just these weird volume spikes. The volume's not quite there for accumulation. There's just these weird spikes where suddenly the price pops. I'm wondering if these are splits or something. Were they splitting their stock? This is weird. I don't know. I don't know what this is. I don't have a technical pattern for this. Just I see the OBV climbing. The volume's super low most of the time. And just the OBV is plateauing over and over again. It's very strange. I don't have any idea what I'm gonna do with this information, but it looks like it's coming back down and it might be consolidating again for a while. So I'll wait to see what it does for the next several days. I'll keep it in my watch list. Um, I need to put all of these into my watch list. Progenity, you better be in there. Okay, that's what I thought. Now, Sofi, I'm not going to touch. Sorry to say. Can I go over the requirements on the research that I use to determine SPRT, PROG, and okay, yeah, I can go over that. Thanks, Landisit. Shout out to Landisit for uh, asking about that. So I'll actually bring up my original Reddit DD and go ahead and hop over to this. Oh yeah, I meant to share this actually. I'm gonna go ahead and copy that for a link on Twitter in a minute. Um, and then let me go look over at my posts here real quick. No. And so I did this. I did this Reddit post quite a long time ago, and I'll go ahead and drop this in chat as well, so you guys can read along if you want to. But this was my Reddit DD that I did on short exempt, using short exempt and various data to start spotting squeezes. I am planning. I'm gonna do this eventually, someday, when I can be free for like 2 days to code something up. But I want to make a screener to look at this. But yeah, my short exempt squeeze signal theory. I wish I had come up with a better name for it. Um, there's specific types of triggers and data that you can put together to give you an idea when there's going to be a squeeze. So thank you, Landisit, for bringing this up. And I get this question all the time. But this is a post that I worked very hard on. This actually was the subject of research for more than 6 months. Um, and I had started working on this back in April, and it played out for me on AMC in May and Sensionics in June. Both of those tickers squeezed together almost. It was AMC first, then Sensionics. And basically, what I found is that if you have the right conditions for a squeeze, you can use short exempt data to tell you when the FTD spikes are going to take place, and you can estimate roughly when the squeeze is going to happen. And I did this with AMC, Sensionics, SPRT, and most recently Progenity, and it did play out. Progenity absolutely did play out. The gamma squeeze was fantastic. I closed some positions. I waited for the fall down, bought some more shares, and I still have some calls, but the short interest is still there. So now looking at the way that the chart is set up for Progenity, there may still be life in that squeeze. It may not have completed. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to take another look at it. But in any case, um, go ahead and read this on your own. But I'll quickly go over the checklist that I have. This checklist section is the fundamentals that I feel are necessary in order for the short squeeze to be possible, for it to have all of the factors necessary for a short squeeze plus a gamma squeeze. Um, you need to make sure that you have your market cap data, your outstanding and floating share data, the short interest over free float, options interest, days on loan, utilization, and short volume, and exempt data. So you can get almost all of this from Ortex. Ortex has almost every single piece of this. Most of it you can also Google, but when it comes to like things like utilization, days on loan, that's what you need Ortex for. The short volume and exempt data from FINRA you can get from FINRA's short sale data website, which I can provide here. It is the short sale volume data, and I'll go ahead and drop that in chat too. This is where FINRA updates every single day after the closing bell all of the short sale data that happens in the markets. And this is reported from the exchanges. So you want to look at the daily files. These are comma-separated value files, and you can check these out every single day. Just very simple flat files, but basically you have the values separated by pipe characters. So you got the date, symbol, short volume, short exempt volume, total volume, and then the market, which are the venues where those shorts were reported from. If we go to Progenity, we can see that the date from yesterday, Progenity sold 3.8 million shares short, and the short exempts were only 38,000. Not a lot. If we were to go back a few dates, and I'll go ahead and I'll drop to 11. Let's do 11/11. This is November the 11th. Now we get some very different numbers. The short volume was at 6 million, 6.6 million, and the short exempts were 370 million, or 370,000. Jeez. Sorry. Anyway, the next step when you are looking at these, you want to take the short exempt volume, so 370, 450. I'm sorry, I'm typing on a calculator, but you can't see it on screen. But take this number, the short exempt volume, and then divide it by this number. Okay, and that's the short volume. So total short volume. So take your short exempt volume, divide it by your short volume, 6,670,914, and you get 0.0555321 da 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 da. That's your ratio. That's the short exempt ratio. If you multiply that by 100, then you get 5.5%. So 5.5% of the short volume was short exempt. The reason why that's significant is because short exempt is only able to be done by a market maker. This is a way to measure market maker participation in a stock ticker. If you see a massive amount of short exempts anywhere in the stock market, it's unusual. Look at all these zeros on all these other tickers. Look at all of them. There's so many zeros, just no short volume or very little short exempt volume. The short volume can be through the roof, but if the short exempt volume is like next to nothing, then that means that there's very little market maker participation. There's not very many short exempts. Short exempts are by their very nature supposed to be a rare occurrence. So my theory hinges on the fact that these unusual numbers keep popping up on meme stock tickers every single time. And when they do, if they accumulate over a period of time, we see the FTDs go through the ceiling. So let's go back to the Reddit DD, and let's go and do a little bit of if you do a little bit of calculating. There's quite a bit of math. It's very simple math, just some basic arithmetic for the most part. But all of these values can help you spotting short squeeze. Okay, so this is the major checklist right here. This is the yes or no question section where you want to have answers for these, and the more of them that are yes, the better candidate you have. So first one, is the utilization over 90%? If yes, good. That means that there's not many stocks available to borrow anymore, and that most of the shares that have been sold short or could be sold short have already been sold short, meaning they're occupied and they cannot be sold short again. They're not available. And that doesn't always happen in practice, but if the utilization is high, that is just a sign that the stock is not very available to be shorted. Is the short interest extremely high, greater than 20% of the free float? If yes, then you have a high shorted stock. Any stock that's over 20% is exceptionally shorted. Is the cost to borrow above 100%? If yes, then that elevates the chances of a short squeeze. Reason? Because they're paying 100% every year in total for their short borrow fees. They pay a daily short borrow fee, but the cost to borrow is a percentage based on their annual per diem rate of interest. So if you is the same way you have a loan on a car, if you have a 3% interest loan on a car or 8%, whatever that number is, that's the percentage of interest on your premium. So 8% of your premium is how much you would pay in interest by the end of the year. So they're paying this fee, and if they held their short position for a full year, then they would be paying for 100% of their entire short position. A massive loss. Most short positions are held for greater than a year. Many short positions are held for up to 2 years, waiting for the collapse of a company because it takes a while for that to happen. So any cost to borrow fee that's this high is exceptionally high. It's expensive. Is a significant portion of the call options chain in the money? Reason why this is important is if you have high open interest on the call options chain, then that gives you gamma potential. That plays into the potential of a gamma squeeze. So this is where you have to calculate your call options versus your shorts, or not shorts, the float. So if you have a stock that is, we'll say 100 million shares on the free float, if you have 10,000 call options, then you have 1 million shares in call options. Yes, 1 million. So 10,000 call options is equal to 100 million or 1 million shares. 1 million shares on a stock that has a free float of 100 million, that's 1%. So what you're looking for is if the open interest is above 10% of the free float, that's good. That's a lot of calls on the chain. Is it 20%? That's really high. If you have a call options chain that's that large or a float that's that small that's being traded so heavily on the options chain, then you have the potential for a bit of a supply crisis. If it's 50%, then that's also extremely huge. Right now, BBIG's is a little bit, it's like right around 8% when I just looked. SPRT, when it squeezed, it was 110%. The the in the money options was like, it was ridiculous. Anyway, the last thing that you want to calculate is has have the shorts been down more than 100% on their position? You can do this by looking at the average days on loan in Ortex. So if we were to look on Ortex, average days on loan, and you can also look at the average number of loans. That's also helpful. Let's see. Average days on loan. We're just using ABCT as an example. Oh, maybe this one's too weird. Actually, this one's too weird to look at. Let's go with Progenity. It'll be easier to actually demonstrate this with this stock. So average age on loan. Average age is 19 days right now. So if you count back the candles to 19 days, you'd land somewhere right around here, about $3. $3.10, thereabouts. So anyway, yeah, are the shorts down more than 100% on their position? Back here, back at this point in the price action,
the shorts had been on average around at a $1.50 position. That was mainly where the average short was located at. So they were down almost 300% on their position when we had hit this point just a couple weeks before it ran to $6. So that was a fantastic that was a fantastic week. And then the last couple of factors are people talking about the stock? Is it getting some excitement? You can look at like r/short squeeze or r/slash Wall Street bets, whatever, just to see what the sentiment is and if people are talking about the stock. I don't put much credence into the DD that's done there because there's no real quality assurance. There's not a whole lot of vetting process, so you have to be really careful with Reddit DD. That's what this community is for. Hell's Trading Floor is meant to be a community where we have trusted analysts that know what they're doing, that have proven themselves, that have a good track record, and are able to demonstrate that they have been able to make good picks before and make good profits on their trades. So that's going to be our main goal, is to provide that solid DD. So that I just want to put that in there because you have to be careful with Reddit DD. It's not vetted. Anybody can put whatever they want on there. Um, And then the last thing on the list is the stock on the threshold security list. Um, and you also want to ask yourself if they've been on it for more than 13 days. The reason for that is if a stock has been on the threshold list for more than 13 days, that causes the stock to be marked as subject to forced closure of positions. If a stock has been on threshold for 13 days, anybody that has outstanding failures to deliver can be forced to close their position by the SEC. Doesn't necessarily mean it will happen, but it does mean that they're going to start getting some nasty grams and a lot of questions and finger pointing. So the pressure's on at that point. 13 days doesn't mean that something's going to happen, but 13 days does mean that there is going to be pressure on anybody who has outstanding FTDs. And the longer that goes on, the more heavy that pressure becomes. And if you have all of these factors, like just as an example, AMC in June or AMC in late May, Sensionics late May, SPRT August 20th, all of these stocks had so many of these factors. And at that point, then you start looking at the critical signal triggers. These are the signals and the metrics that I look at to tell me, is the squeeze coming and is it coming soon if it's imminent? And by imminent, I mean between 14 and 30 days. Is the utilization above 95%? I would consider this capped. Utilization is a funny thing. It can stay stagnant and short interest can continue rising, but if it's this high, it's a hard to borrow stock, and that almost guarantees a high cost to borrow fee. The second is short exempt volume greater than 3% for 3 consecutive days or more, or has it peaked above 10? If it peaks above 10%, then that means that there's probably been a huge move already. But if you're looking for more than 3% short exempt volume for 3 consecutive days, Progenity had almost 5% every single day for a week. And that immediately preceded its move on November the 17th. So, again, these methods do work. Um, and then the final trigger is the simple moving average increasing at a rate of 5% daily for 3 consecutive days. Again, I'll look at Progenity just so that you can see this kind of price movement. Or actually, let's do Webull because I can chart that a little bit better on Webull. So if we look at a 5-day moving average, go ahead and touch my indicators here. Okay, here's my 5-day moving average. So right when I called out Progenity was right in this area. Okay, the short exempts were pretty high here, and they were pretty significant here as well. This was the period when it got really serious. Um, so the moving average had been rising steadily by about 5%. You can see that, you can see up here this little moving average value. This is the moving average price on a 5-day moving average. So if you see the price moving at about 5% incline every single day for more than 3 consecutive days, that's putting continuous pressure and momentum on the shorts. Okay, so that's significant. You need that in order to keep that pressure up and to keep it building and to put more price action behind you, so that the shorts have less conviction in their trade. It has a psychological effect when the price continues rising like this consistently by a moving average of 5% or more. If the short exempts are greater than 3% for 3 consecutive days, and that tells you that there's going to be a significant move based on failures to deliver. The reason is because market makers have to close their failures to deliver up to 6 days after they have been opened. Um, and because of that, if they fail to do that, then they can be restricted from trading that stock, which is a huge blow to market makers' business. They do not want to allow that to happen. It's extremely devastating to them. So that causes FTD spikes like we saw. And if I can go ahead and pull back up Vortex one last time, we look at the failures to deliver and we look at the security lending volume. Oh, why did they make them the same color? Oh, Ortex, why did you do that to me? Ortex, that's awful. Don't you give me a server error. Oh, that's so gross. Why would you make that the same color? Ortex. No. Ugh. Well, all right, I'm going to have to show this separately, but let's look at the security lending volume first, okay? Security lending volume all throughout this period was massive, okay? Shorts were day trading in and out constantly, trying to make money, trying to secure positions, trying to juggle FTDs, this whole incline. This puts huge pressure on them. Now let's look at failures to deliver. Look at these spikes that were happening in the middle of all that. And you'll notice that the spikes were very pronounced on 6-day increments. There were these lulls here, and then this huge spike, and a 6-day lull, and then the spikes and the incline started to come back again. Every 6 days, it seems, there's always these there's these interesting spikes that happen in these types of stocks. If I were to look at, let's see, MYSE, AMC, AMC did something very similar. In fact, I would say AMC did it better. It was actually my case study for this entire thing. So let's see. Yep. Yeah, this was the fun one. So I figured out that these failures to deliver start to when they start to get really out of hand, then the failures to deliver create this exponential growth curve. If you were to draw a line through this and create like a curve, you would see the peaks of the you would see that curve drawing just below these peaks, and it would start slow down here. If you follow my mouse, it would start slow down here and then rise slowly with these FTD spikes, and then suddenly exponential growth right on the day of a massive movement. So when you see these types of moves, this is a 5% or greater movement for 3 consecutive days, and then finally the pop. And the OBV can also tell you this. I'd only just recently started looking at OBV in order to give me some hints on this. So, um, I realize I'm jumping around all over the place like a crazy person, but I hope that this is all making some kind of sense to everybody. Let's go look at AMC. way back here. Oh no, Weeble, what are you doing? Oh Lord, what is Weeble doing? Oh my God, Weeble wigged out. Didn't like that. Whatever I did. Okay, let's look at this chart as it. Okay, so right in this point in this period where we saw this 5 to 8% 3 consecutive move in the price, the moving average started to rise right here at a 5% incline, and just before the squeeze took place, like if you had bought calls as this signal was starting to actually present itself, then you like this would have been the signal. It it's never perfect. You never know exactly when the squeeze is going to take place, but if you start to see all these signs coming together, and I look back at this, the short exempt data did also, it was also present. The short exempts were significant. I think that like over 13% on one particular day in this range. So the short exempt data was massive. Market makers were having a hell of a time trying to keep up with this stock, with all the trading that was going on and with the volume rising this rapidly. They were not ready for this. So AMC's sympathy squeeze with GME was pretty significant. And if you go over here to early May, you see the OBV doing the same thing again. As soon as the rise in 5% over several days, then it'll level out. This is market makers trying to keep up with all of it. And then eventually it just runs and just gets out of hand. By the time the OBV starts to do this little hill and then dip and lift again, that's when you know that the move is coming and they won't be able to keep up with it. So this kind of a long drawn out squeeze like AMC did on June is it's going to be difficult to do it again. It's going to be hard, but I do think that it's very possible. With the amount of games that have been played on this stock, I do think that it can happen. Okay, I have rambled for a long time. I don't even remember the question that was asked that sent me on this rabbit hole, but thank you for the question. Landis it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'll go ahead and look at AMC on the 15-minute. Okay, yeah, we have hit the bounce. 16 or God, 16. Can I English? Jeez. For the first commemorative stream of the opening of this community, I'm really making a lot of grammatical blunders, aren't I? So we hit the bounce at $26. That is exactly at support. So now is your confirmation, and with the MACD having crossed the signal line, or I'm sorry, this is VWAP. This is VWAP and the moving average. God, here we go. Okay, MACD crossed the signal right here. This is your buying signal right here. This is a good buying signal. So yes, this is the bounce. Not financial advice. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just an amateur day trader, but this is a good buying signal, in my opinion. MACD shows a nice dip, good discount, hit support perfectly, and now MACD's crossed over the signal, and looks like we are getting a death cross right now. So this is a bearish signal, okay? But the MACD crossing here is a bullish signal. So you can see how complicated day trading and and playing these technicals can get. Ultimately, you kind of see what you want to see. So always be aware of confirmation bias. But at the same time, I see how oversold everything is. The RSI is oversold. Even on the 30-minute or the hourly RSI, it's oversold. It's well into oversold territory. So, and the OBV is still flat. So all of this consolidation that we're seeing here, that's been going on for the past, geez, like we've been consolidating for, well, 4 months. I can't even believe that I've been in this fight for a year. But 4 months in consolidation of this wedge. We broke out of the wedge to the downside, and we're now trading below the 200 moving average. This is a massive supply area. It was brought down here intentionally. Okay. Algorithms sell off stock, move it into areas of supply so that they can buy at discounts. And guess who the supply normally is? It's retail. Retail is the area of supply. Anybody that is trading in the stock market that has been with hedge funds knows that retail are the bag holders for Wall Street. They do this in order to convince us to sell. And they make it so that the price is cheap for them at the same time because they know what's going to happen. It's their money that moves the market. If they have moved it to this price and people buy instead, then they have lost a tremendous amount of money trying to drive it to this point. This is the time that retail can take advantage of it. I'm just going to say it. If retail jumps in and doesn't give into this fear that they're feeling right now, this is the moment to buy it. There's a massive amount of fear in the markets overall. Everybody sees it. Evergrande is collapsing. The Chinese real estate market is about to die in a fire. The entire housing market for the United States is teetering on the brink of collapse because of a supply issue that has yet to present itself. And it's funny how Zillow is dumping their houses and trying to get rid of them as fast as they can, selling them for losses. And everybody is still saying, oh, the market is so healthy and it's so great. And you need to buy your house now before it's too late. Their prices are only going to go up from here. That's all they're saying in the news. They won't stop shit. They just won't shut up about it. It's all bullshit. I looked at the Fred numbers. I've looked at the databases. All the numbers show that supply has returned and that the market is now in a 6-month period of housing supply. On top of that, all the lumber situations and the steel supply issues have all been caught up with. All the homes that were halted for construction during the spring and the summer months, they're all going to be rush projects to finish them, and there's going to be a massive amount of houses dumped onto the market at the same time. And China's market's about to collapse. What do you think is going to happen to the American market when all these houses just get dumped onto supply, dumped into the housing supply, on top of all of this inflation? The supply is going to crater, or the supply is going to go up, but the prices are going to crater, and inflation is going to drive loans to the point where nobody can afford them. So you're going to have a whole populace of people that can't afford to buy homes. You're going to have a massive supply of homes that nobody wants, on top of a stock market crisis precipitated by completely irresponsible hedge funds that have been hiding their money in the Cayman Islands and other God knows where. Just absolutely pisses me off. And the fraud's so obvious. I just I can't stop getting so pissed off about it every time I think about it. Ortex on Sens. Thank you, Kongban. Thank you. I'll take a look at that. Let's bring up Sens here on Webull really quickly just to see where they're at. Okay, broke below support, area of supply, bounced off of $2.40. I got a very nice comment from somebody mocking me, telling me to go get wrecked because the price fell this far. I just bought more. I want you to know. So if you happen to be here or you happen to watch this later on, I just bought more. So I look forward to taking full advantage. Please continue to short Sensionics. I will be very happy to take your borrowed shares. Anyway, let's get Let's get Ortex up here. Ortex. Sensionics. To anybody who's new to Sensionics that hasn't looked at any of my previous DD streams, anything like that, Sensionics is an awesome company. I absolutely love them. They are in the business of creating continuous glucose monitors, which is a device that monitors your blood sugar for if you're a type 1 diabetic. They're working on approvals to get it approved for type 2 diabetics as well. But they've created a little chip that you insert in the arm that's about the size of a grain of rice, and it monitors your blood sugar levels. Compare that with their biggest competitor, which is Dexcom. They use a transdermal system, which is a needle that goes through the skin of the stomach, and it measures your blood sugar by reporting that to a device um, or an app on your phone. The thing is that Dexcom's product is, I think it's terrible. It falls out, it can get infected, and you have to stick yourself with a long thick needle every single day and then tape it down. Like, I can't think of a more inconvenient routine for your morning, especially if you're a type 1 diabetic and you're constantly having to give yourself insulin. Like, I can't imagine living that way. It's got to be awful. But Sensionics makes it a lot easier by having the chip just inserted in the bicep, and it monitors your glucose levels that way, and it sits there for 90 days. Dexcom, you have to change that needle out every 14 days maximum, but most people have to change it out weekly, and it costs them $500 a month for those needles. Um, Sensionics, it's a $99 chip that gets inserted, and if you're covered by insurance, then the doctor's visit's free. You just pay a copay. So, like, would I rather pay like $200 every 90 days to have a chip inserted in my arm that tells my cell phone what my blood sugar is constantly, and it'll ring me if I'm having a glucose crisis? Yeah, I'll take that business every day. So yeah, I love Sensionics product, and if you're shorting them, good luck. You're gonna regret that decision, in my opinion. But whatever, not financial advice. You do whatever you want. So let's look at the short interest. Yeah, somebody called out 30%. Looks like 25% of the free float, but still really high. Short interest estimates and the exchange reported short interest looks pretty spot on. This is pretty close. I don't care much about days to cover though. So we've been in this long consolidation. It was an ascending wedge, a rising bullish pennant, and it broke down below into this area of supply. This is an excellent buying territory for Sensionics, and I did pick up a few more shares. I've got a few thousand shares of Sensionics, so I'm holding on to this one. This is a stock that I believe will overtake their competitors eventually once they secure their one FDA approval for their 180-day sensor. That's one that only has to be changed twice a year instead of 4 times a year. Um, and they've improved it so that instead of having to wear a band that reads from the sensor, it'll just have a transmitter directly inside the chip that'll report to your cell phone, and you can sync it with Bluetooth. And that makes it a lot easier, so you don't have to wear this band around your arm. Not that it's kind of like a sweatband, basically, just with a little transmitter around it. But now they've upped their technology, and the new sensors will, if they get FDA approval here in the next couple of months or so, then they'll be able to just transmit straight to the cell phone, and there won't be any need for that extra little apparatus. They've actually been overdue for a long time, but I've got some DD on my Reddit. So if you don't have me on Reddit, true_demon on Reddit, you can go check through some of my posts. I've got a long series of posts on Sensionics. See if I can go find that. Oh, oh, that was meant to go look through my profile, but well, I'll go ahead and provide this one. There's links to all the previous DD, so everybody who's interested, go ahead and take a look at it. Some really, I worked very hard on that research, and I'm only buying Sensionics. I have no interest in selling them. Where do you find in the money and out the money percentage for a stock? That's a good question, Ryan. I actually I have to count it up in order to with a calculator, but I'm sure there are screener tools that will tell you that information that are better and give you that data at a glance. I would like to build some of that stuff myself and create some nice trading platforms and data analytics platforms for everybody, but I just don't have enough time and I don't have enough resources. So if you have coding experience and you are interested in doing analytics for the Discord and contributing in that way, we are very, very, very excited to welcome you. We would love to have you with us. We are. I am partnering with a with a company that's just recently come out called Diamond Hand Technologies. I'm partnering with that organization to create some analytics tools. They've got a great team of coders and developers, but they are looking for. This is a startup that has no current capital, and they are here for apes and retail investors. And the point that the service that they are trying to provide is to make data and information more accessible when it comes to investing in the stock market for everybody. So I'm working with them to create all kinds of tools, screeners, and analytics stuff in order to make that more available for everybody. So give me a buzz if you're in the Discord, and we can talk about the kind of skills that we're looking for, but mainly coding experience, fintech development experience, and things like that. Get a second job for a new hobby. Day trading. That's the way to do it. This is the way. Do I think that Prague will stagnate in its current price range until more fundamental news is announced for the company? It may consolidate for a while until fundamental news does come out. That's one of the things that you just kind of have to you just kind of have to wait. Um, it's frustrating that we do have to rely so much on companies to give out their press releases in a timely manner. But in Progenity's case, they're beholden to higher powers. It's just the way it is. They have non-disclosure agreements in place, I'm sure, with whoever their prospective partners are. So whether they're partnering with Pfizer or um, Ionis or uh, AbbVie, whoever it might be, there's no way for us to know until they say something, and they're not going to say something until they're ready to. And I have a feeling that it's not necessarily their decision when they get to say it. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be their partners that make that announcement, and they're not free to discuss it. Jeff Hardwick, thank you. I will check my Reddit DMs later on. Somnium, the FDA approval for Sensionics, it was delayed because of COVID. That's the excuse that the FDA is giving us. They've been giving everybody that excuse. Sensionics has been overdue since January, though. You are right about that. It's uh, it's gone on for almost a full year, where they have not received their FDA approval. For that reason, not currently I'm not currently holding any short term calls. I just have leap options for 2023. Not that I think that it will take that long for them to go get their FDA approval, but I don't see any reason to risk any capital with a call option that is short term. So I'm just going to wait until signals show themselves that present some evidence that FDA approval is coming. When will SINs integrate with the pump? If you're talking about insulin pumps, they've been talking with Beta Bionics. I don't know about that partnership, though. I don't believe it's been openly discussed yet. I'll have to go back and do some digging, but it is possible that they may be partnering with Beta Bionics to create those insulin pumps, in which case they would actually be partnering with a partner of their competitor, Dexcom, which would be significant. And if Dexcom ended up losing that business somehow because Sensionics created a superior product, not that I think there would be a reason for Beta Bionics to close that door. Um, they'll probably service both of those companies, unless you know I don't know, extenuating circumstances arose that made that impossible for it to continue, like some sort of a exclusivity partnership agreement. But yeah, I don't know. When will oh, I read that one. Think big pharma is paying big bucks to the FDA to delay approval of Sens. Anything's possible. I don't know, but yeah, it's hard to say. It does feel very. I do feel a bit salty. We'll put it that way. I feel a bit salty with the FDA. They have not been keeping up. Yeah, yeah. Diabetes is awful, Calico. I don't. My grandfather was a type 2 diabetic. He recently passed away from COVID, actually. But he, uh, he was a type 2 diabetic, and I didn't envy him and his diet restrictions and any of that other stuff that he had to deal with. So, yeah, I, I especially feel bad for everybody who is dealing with type 1. It takes it to a whole nother level. Huge spikes in the early pre-market, like 4 a.m. Is it usually retail or algos? I'm gonna say algos for the most part, but there's not much for those to work with. Algos operate in pre-market and aftermarket for the most part because they don't have to go home at the end of the day to their family to go have dinner. The algorithms stay right where they are. Let's go take another look at Progenity's chart, see what's up. Because I am interested in the pre-market action. Yeah, it's volatile, volatile. A lot of stuff happening in the foreign markets. That's what this gap up is. This is a gap between the foreign markets because when when the foreign markets take over and they any of them that are trading on this stock can absolutely drive volume and the price in, like, say, the Frankfurt exchange, just as an example. Yeah, this downward consolidation is very frustrating, but we just have to be patient. Not giving up on anything. I'm not bearish in the slightest about Progenity. Long term, I am super excited. And honestly, this bounce off of 240 is very timely. We didn't even come to our support yet, honestly. I'm trying to look and see where previous support had been established. But I might as well create a line here since we've now established support here at 240. I'm guessing that we probably had this support somewhere farther back. Must have been. Oh man, Weeble, you're really upsetting me. It's funny that we're moving now here in the afternoon. Oh, I am so sorry. Sorry, Discord. How long did the last dilution take? The last dilution took about 4 days, but this is a totally different type of share sale that's taking place. This is an at the market offering that's being handled by a third party broker. So for that reason, they can sell these stocks over a long period of time. It could go on for 3 years. They might sell stock throughout the next 3 years. We don't know. They may announce the closure of that sale, but it's probably going to take a long time before that closes. This is a different type of dilution event. They're not doing a direct offering. This is an at-the-market offering, and it's being handled through a third party. So Progenity doesn't even get to decide anymore when they sell the stock. They handled all those shares over to their broker, who is going to handle all of the trading decisions on their behalf in order to get them the best price and the most money out of their trades, because that broker, they get a 6% cut out of it. So they're going to trade it as best they possibly can. They're incentivized to do so. What are my thoughts on APRE? Has some PR coming up. APRE, Aprea Therapeutics. I'm very rapidly becoming the biotech stock guy, aren't I? Just to be very clear with everybody, I don't have any experience or knowledge in regards to biotech at all. Like I don't come from the medical field in the slightest. So please don't take anything that I say when it comes to my understanding of these stock plays. Don't assume that I know anything about the technology. I try my best to understand it and describe it as accurately as I can, but yeah, just know that I'm not an expert. Let's see. Wow, that's some flat ass price action. That is flat as a pancake. There, that's a little better. Now I can see something. All right. These spikes that keep happening in here are a little bit strange. So I'm going to draw this as if to ignore them. Very, very narrow bull channel. This is a bull flag. Um, the reason it's called a bull flag is because it's a downward channel, so it's moving downward, but they tend to break upward. So we're seeing these support lines. This is a falling support and a falling resistance. If it breaks above the resistance, then you can get a run here. So I'd be looking for about I'd be looking for $4.70, and it needs to get above $5. And this is a head and shoulder pattern here, so this is short-term bearish. It actually already broke down, so we'll see what happens here. But this is an example of a head and shoulders. So you see the rise here, you see the shoulder, and then the head and another shoulder, and this is the neckline. You draw a line at the neck, these two valleys between the head, and that's your neckline. So you draw the neckline all through the rest of it. So just we'll go ahead and put this in red. When you see the price break below that neckline, that's when you take your short. And if you had done that, then you would have made about pretty good, like 20% profit. Like you could have made a good 20% profit on that just as it fell. And then as soon as you see the RSI oversold and then this MACD turnaround, as soon as you see the MACD signal starting to turn around, that's when you exit. So if you were to trade this pattern, that's when you would get out of that. It's a little side lesson. But yeah, it's just moving. It's consolidating. It's a lot of consolidation here. I'd be watching for this support level. It broke below it twice, but it's established its low here and a higher low here. So make sure that it stays above this line. Look for it to bounce here. See if and if you get a bounce here, then that's a buying signal. and then look for a breakout sometime in the next several months. But this is going to be a long wait, methinks. Hard to tell. Go ahead and look at the. I'll go ahead and look at the Ortex just on that one because everybody who me to look at asks me to look at a stock for whatever reason, it's probably short, or there's probably a large short position. Oh no, actually not. It's hardly any shorts. I'll look into the company though. It seems interesting. I get interested by unusual biotech companies. They're coming up with some interesting stuff. I don't know anything about these guys, so I like to know what I'm looking at. Thoughts on Disney? I can take a look at Disney. I have not traded Disney once in my entire day trading career. Maybe I just don't like Michael Eisner. Maybe it's not the same ever since Walt himself passed away. I don't know, but just never felt the need to invest in Disney. Probably would have been good for me if I had. Oh boy. Well, let's see. Ooh, wow. Deep sell off. Deep sell off. Let me look at this on the 4-hour chart. Overbought, coming down. Seems like it's actually in a bit of an accumulation pattern, which is interesting. But that might just be bias on my part, looking for Wyckoffs where there may not be Wyckoffs. That's a pretty serious sell-off, though. Well, they are oversold, so you have that going for you. Cootery, are you long or short on Disney? Let me know in the live stream questions if you could. Long for 157 calls. Ooh, what's your expiration? How much time did you give yourself? Next Friday? That's not a lot of time. Let me see what Unusual Whales says. I gotta look at Unusual Whales for this. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna avoid showing Unusual Whales too often on my streams, just because I respect that Unusual Whales has put together an awesome platform. I'll still share screenshots on it occasionally, but I don't want to show off the whole feed because I have access to the premium stuff, and I don't want to just be just giving out all the alerts on the day that people are already paying for. That would not be fair to them. Let's see. Okay, interesting. All right, so you got expirations for next Friday. These were purchased on the 6th, so early this week on Tuesday. Or sorry, Monday. A lot of call volume. Interesting. These are 170s, and their value has fallen significantly. Okay. I'm betting that whoever was in this exited already. Yeah, there's a lot of them that sold. Okay. Mm, I'm not seeing much on the flow. Let me go take a look one more time on Disney's flow. The put call ratio is heavy to the call side, which is good. What does the options chain look like? You have a lot of OI here. Yeah, I just don't see it, Cootery. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the charts, and the flow is just bearish. Uh, the biggest bullish heat map is 150 calls for June of next year, and that's the big purchase. There is some for 165 for this for next Friday. Um, there's a lot of premium there, but that could just be a lot of retail buying some YOLOs. Bearish premium is heavy on 170s. You could stay in it and see if there's a volume pop for next Friday, but you're gonna lose a lot in theta. So yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. There's a lot of buying on 165 strikes still happening though, and there's a lot of selling on 165 puts. So there may be a volatility pop. These are all floor trades that I'm looking at. A lot of floor trades on deep in the money puts. A lot of people selling deep in the money puts. So you might get some volatility pop. Somebody thinks somebody thinks that there's something that's going to happen. But most of them are thinking that it's going to happen in January or June. Like there's a lot of leaps in here. So yeah, I'll just say be careful. If you're too over leveraged on these, then and you're scared of theta bleeding you out, then today is probably the day to get out of those. It just doesn't look that I'm not very convinced. It's just too close to expiration. Okay. Okay. Yep. Careful with your positions as always. Set stops for yourself. It's always a good idea just to it's always a good idea to be super careful. Like I said though, you're still at support, so yeah, I would say by Tuesday, cut your position no matter what happens, and save what you can. What do I think about ABCT? Now that it's retraced, we'll go back and look at it again. I should probably set a. Let me actually go get a multi-chart up here, because that'll be easier for everybody to follow. Here we go. I should get TradingView set up. I just don't want to pay for the subscription. I'm already paying for Webull. It's only $2 a month, but like, is TradingView that good? Is it that worth it? Ooh, wow, GameStop fell on its ass. Oof, these sell-offs are brutal. It's really brutal. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not bearish at all on GameStop. I'm still very bullish on GameStop. The OBV on it is pretty extraordinary. go look at ABCT again. Go look on the 5-minute. Had its retrace, came below the VWAP, found support. That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's actually really good. Nice bounce here. Wait for confirmation. Check the MACD. Look for the cross. But yeah, as soon as the MACD crosses above the signal, that would be my buy signal. That actually looks pretty good. That's a nice bounce. Just be patient. Don't rush into any positions. Always be careful and wait for confirmation. It's not worth the risk just to wait for a few more minutes if you're to wait for that confirmation on the MACD to give you a little bit of conviction. Because if you do it too soon and the MACD doesn't cross and then it turns around and keeps falling, then you just lost a lot of capital. Toyota? I don't think I've ever looked at Toyota. I'm not much for car companies. Well, looks like they're doing really well, honestly. That's quite a channel. Wow. This looks nice, honestly. It's actually oh, that's funny. Let me look at this on the weekly. Oh, this is almost looks like a Wyckoff pattern. It is a Wyckoff pattern. This is a Wyckoff pattern. It's a very long one. This is like multiple years. Yeah. So this would have been your phase A. This would have been the preliminary sell-off, a rebound, and then the selling climax down here, and then you get your slow rise, and then another test, and then this would have been the spring, a secondary test above the spring. So that's your higher low, and then now you're in the LPS phase right here. So it's I forget what LPS stands for, but it's like it's the second area of support and consolidation, and then now it's broken out above that, and it's had its rise over the course of the year. So this is actually a Wyckoff pattern that's been playing out over the last several years. And this is normally the time frame that you'll see a Wyckoff pattern. These are long-term plays, especially with a car company. Don't really move much. Not in the short term. But in any case, you have this nice bullish pennant right here. If we draw this, and I am on the weekly, so this is a pretty far out chart. If you're looking for short-term day trade, we'll have to look at this a little bit closer. But in the short term, it's testing 188. If it breaks 188 again, then you'd be looking for 200 within a few months to a year, and that's a good long-term trade. Like if you're the OBV is on your side, it's moving in tandem with the price and accumulating. So there's big accumulation here, even as it's consolidated over this time. This is a diverging OBV. So the OBV rising while the price is just doing this choppy zigzag pattern here. That's OBV divergence. And since the OBV is rising, that's bullish. So yeah, this would be a good long-term investment if you wanted to jump into Toyota based on technicals alone. You could jump in right at this price is actually good, right in the middle. You're risking about 175, so about $6 per share, maybe $6.50 per share, and your upside potential puts you at a $20 per share difference. So it's like 5%, 10%, 10%. On a shorter time frame, if you're looking for scalp trades, it's way oversold. MACD crossed here, but you also have a death cross. So this is when the short-term moving average crosses below the long-term moving average. So the price might continue to fall a little bit. So I would give it a week. If you want to wait for a better position, maybe look for 180, maybe 179, and see what happens before the end of December. Um, there's usually some selling going on just before Christmas. Then once people get their bonuses from Christmas, they're gonna go ahead and like they'll spend their money, they'll buy their family their gifts, and then whatever's left over, they throw it back into the stock market. And Toyota, that's a good time to that's a good time for that's a good company to buy into because that's a long play. Toyota's not going anywhere. Hope that helps. $4 strikes on Prague, expiration December 31st, down 55%. Joe Miami. I also have $4 calls on Progenity for that expiration and strike price. I'm not sure how far down I am. I am down on that particular position. Down about Yeah, I'm down. I'm down 55% too. But I don't buy calls if I don't think that they're going to run in the money. So I'm actually looking for Progenity to start making its retest um, here in the next few weeks. I'm buying on speculation, almost entirely on speculation that news is going to come out um, right around the Christmas season. So we'll see what happens with that. But we're in our lower support, and I'll point out a pattern that Progenity has made. Progenity has had a habit of rising up through two levels of support or breaking through two levels of resistance and then falling by one level of support. And then it's kind of like a two-step forward, one step back pattern. And right now we're having the one step back. We did have our big fall from grace from 620 though, so that's a huge move to the downside, and we're in a massive area of supply. There's accumulation that's likely to happen here, and right now we're seeing a MACD cross, so this is a bit short term, but I'm betting that algorithms might be coming in here soon. I wish I had some capital to buy here for a day trade, but sadly I don't. Pretty much all tapped out. But but um, as far as those $4 calls for December 31st, there's quite a bit of time left in that, so there's still a good chance. I am looking at this level of support for a for what or level of resistance, I should say, for Progenity to break towards. This is all based on Fibonacci's. This is a Fibonacci extension here. So I'm drawing from the low to the top of our charts. This can happen at any point between now and the end of the timeline. So there's a chance that your calls might expire worthless, but I have noticed that in every timeline that I've drawn, Progenity makes its move in the middle to the early half of the timeline, and you saw how we went to 620 by the almost the exact middle of that timeline. So let's look for some volume. We're waiting on some PR statements, and we'll see what happens. But I'm not going to sell my calls. I'm averaging down. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I think that there's still some hope for those $4. Someone said Disney is not a good idea. I hate to agree, but just because it's a friend asking. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Disney or their business. Just got to be honest. Some intraday movement on AMC. I've kind of already talked a lot about AMC. I mean, it's oversold as hell. We saw. Let's see. I'll move down to the 15-minute chart. It doesn't make any sense to go any shorter than that. But all the way down here, we bounced off of our support. It's in a buying pattern right now. MACD is crossed, and we've got some confirmation now. I'd be looking for algorithms to start buying now. This is the buying opportunity right here. This is a huge low. So, and it's a higher low from our previous low that we experienced on the third. So, this this is likely to form a cup, in my opinion, between today and next Tuesday. I'd expect turnaround Tuesday. The SPY will start to recover, and then AMC will start to see some life again. Ortex changed the ABCT estimated short interest to not applicable. Did they message me? I have to look. Shares online fell to 3. Ah, okay. So the Ortex did message me. They tweeted about what's going on with ABCT, and yeah, their explanation publicly was the shares on loan fell to 300 just as the semi-monthly reporting for short sellers was due. It then rapidly increased, and our model takes account of the last reported value, which in this instance was surprisingly low, and hence the increase became proportionally enormous. So this is probably based on just it's just a comedy of errors and circumstances that as I suspected, it's probably due to an error, just based on what they described to me. What are my thoughts on reviewing fundamentals versus TA, or how do I combine the two if I do? Well, fundamentals I use to decide if the company is good to invest in the first place. Like if the company is just absolute dog shit and they're like, I don't know, doing something ridiculous like selling tulips or something. Shout out to Matt Kors. Um, then I don't have much hope for that company in the long run. Um, and for that reason, I'll base my trades accordingly. Fundamentally, a company has to at least have some prospects, and I do like to play a little bit more risky with my portfolio because the upside is really nice when you have a company that has either a really nice product or a speculative uh, bullish catalyst that greatly affects my decision. Uh, with technical analysis, I just use it in order to keep my conviction. I look at it to read price action and decide when are good entry and exit points. And that's all that TA is for me because ultimately, as good as it is and as helpful as it can be with making your decisions, it's not like a crystal ball. You can't know everything that's going to happen. Oh man, Weeble's really wigging out now. Um, so with all that being said, I'm going to prioritize. I'm going to prioritize fundamentals. Jeez, Weeble, I'm going to have to close this because it's losing its mind. I got to kill Weeble and open it back up again. Okay, I think that's got that fixed. Somebody wanted me to look at CRXT, Claris Therapeutics Holdings. Oh man, I'm still the biotech guy. All right. Oh wow, that OBV is very interesting. That's a very interesting OBV. That's a volatile stock. Low volume and the price is getting pushed around all over the place. But I see the OBV is just starting to curl a little bit. That's interesting. Hmm. Let's draw this. I'm going to draw it from here and ignore that anomalous wick here, because this is an anomalous spike for sure. Big volume, but it looks strange. I might have to draw a second wedge though. Yeah, I might. I do need to draw a second wedge actually. Oh wow, I don't know how the YouTube streamers do it. I'm starting to I'm starting to cross my legs. I think I might have to go use the bathroom. Hmm. Well, short-term trend. My little crayon drawings are uncertain of this one. It looks like it's consolidating, but these weird volatility spikes are making it a little bit difficult for me to read. Hmm. I think I would be more comfortable getting a few others' opinions on this. It looks short-term bullish, but I truly don't know. It looks volatile as hell, and I'm not sure what I could tell you about this one. I'm having a really hard time reading it. I think I'm probably going to have to close the stream here in a few minutes. I'm doing my best to hang in there, but I do have to get back to work. I can't stick around all day long doing this. So let me go ahead and take just a few more questions. Oh, Discord's been talking to me about CTRX also. Diabetes, type 1 diabetes man has been cured after a clinical trial. Oh. Okay. Well, I'm not sure. I checked the wrong ticker. It's CRTX. Oh. Cortex. Oh. Whoa. This one's a little going to be even more difficult to read, isn't it? Eh. Okay. So I guess ignore the last ticker. CRTX is the one that everybody has been asking for. Yeah, always be careful. Always be careful about fat fingering your stock ticker symbols. Plenty of people have made terrible trades based on just that mistake alone. NRX versus Tilray. I'm sorry, I'm not into any cannabis stocks, so I'm not informed on them, so I'm not really able to give much of an opinion. Oh boy, long. Well, looks like it was testing. Yeah, it looks like it was testing some resistance here. Started here, 1, 2, 3, getting shorter, and it touched support here. It could go either way. it's at support right now, but the short-term moving average crossed here. This is a golden cross back here, and now the price is sold off precipitously. So this could be a bearish signal. It may turn, but the MACD is about ready to cross the signal here. So this, if it breaks up past $13, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for $13 here. If you see $13, good buying signal. If you don't and it breaks down to the downside, it's not a good sign. So it all depends on how it plays out for this wedge before December the 17th. So we'll see how it goes. The last question I'm going to take here today, and then I got to go. Do I think that Progenity will be sold, or are they going to survive as a company and license their patents? I'm honestly uncertain of that now. Recent information that I pulled up on Progenity shows that they are partnering with multiple firms between Ethereum and there's a link between, there's a firm called Saviter Capital, spelled Savitir, or sorry, Savitr, so Saviter. They're based out of San Francisco, and they own a company called Immunis AI, who the old CEO of Progenity is now sitting on the board of directors for. So there's definitely some connections there, and there's some interesting connections for sure. But I don't know what the outcome is going to be from those connections or those partnerships. All I know is that Saviter and Ethereum and the former CEO, now board member and chairman of the board for Progenity, are working together, and they have together a combined 70% holding on Progenity. So a sale is possible. If that's their plan, it would be bullish. But the thing is that I think that Progenity could be more long-term profitable if they didn't do that. So I'm not entirely sure. But that's all that I had time for today. I really wanted to thank everybody for coming out for the maiden voyage of our new community, joining in just to come and watch me and ask me questions about tickers and learn a little bit about technical trading. And yeah, thank you. I'm very glad to be a part of this whole thing, and I'm looking forward to doing this a little bit more often. So thanks again for watching, and have a hell of a time in the market.